Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with BetDSI for college football week 8. Of course, we are talking with Brent, the head lines manager at DSI Sportsbook. Brent, the first game I have to ask you about, probably the most debated line on the opening lines on Sunday night, Utah at USC. USC, of course, in general, having a season in disarray. Utah is ranked third in the nation. You know, they're 4-2 against spread, covering spreads by a mile when they do cover, and yet USC was an opening line favorite of -3. Now market-wide, they're up to like 3.5. When I first saw this line, I thought to myself, I bet you USC is probably a side with value. Did the sharps bet it? I don't know. That's what we want to know. What happened to this line movement, Brent? Why did the line move up?
I don't really have any heavy hitters on this game yet, and actually the count's pretty much even. There's a little bit more money on Utah right now. The opening number did get hit -3 by what we're going to call respectable money. That's on USC, but you look at the line right now, you just kind of get a feeling that people are waiting to jump on Utah. You just get a feeling that this line maybe is going to creep up a little more on USC. Right now, we are USC -3, dog 15, so laying the USC -05. It seems like a line that's still going to attract some public money on USC just because they always do. And I think that, people are just kind of sitting back waiting to strike on Utah. I just get that feeling. I could be dead wrong, but it's just a feeling I get. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of big bettors on this game right now. Even the total, we're sitting at 59.5. I'm almost dead, even my count and money, the over and the under. And I think it's a part of it is like people are trying to figure out USC, like are they really this bad? And then they're also trying to figure out whether Utah is this good. I mean, it's depending on what poll you look at, they're right up in the rankings. Whether it's like 7 or 3, they're somewhere in there. You figure they could easily run the schedule. I mean, they've got like Oregon State, Washington, and Arizona. I mean, they got some difficult games, but this is probably one of the most difficult ones that they would have being on the road. If they get past the USC here, they're be sitting like 7-0, I think it is. So yeah, it's a case I think where people are trying to figure out both teams, and I think in terms of the sharp guys, I just get a feeling that they're hoping this line gets driven up before they jump on Utah, but we'll see.
All right, interesting game there. And then the second one I want to ask you about, Florida State and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, of course, at one point was ranked. Now, as of right now, they've lost 5 in a row, straight up and against the spread. Here they're a pretty sizable home dog against Florida State, a team that is often overvalued. They're undefeated on the year, of course, but just 3-3 against the spread so far this year, although they did get a nice margin cover at home last week. Wondering if the sharps touch this one in any way.
Yes, this is another weird one. You picked some good ones here, Peter. I mean, Florida State's another situation where, they're 6-0 and 4-0 in the conference, and you look at Georgia Tech, they're 0-4. It's like you could almost make a case that this line should be a little bit higher than it is. But as you pointed out, Georgia Tech certainly looks like a live dog. Basically, the same situation as the previous game we just talked about with USC. The only kind of respectable money I got was on the opening number of Florida State -4.5. We're all the way up to 6.5 right now, but it's basically been public money driving that. My count's almost like 4-1 in favor of Florida State. So again, that's a pretty heavy one-sided in terms of betting action. My money's one-sided as well because I got the sharp guy on the opening number on Florida State plus the public to go with it. So my money's almost like 6-1 Florida State. My count's about 4-1. Total, nothing but over money so far. I've got I've got no straight bets on the under so far. We're sitting at 56.5, so that might climb. But it's another case where, again, our sharps waiting for the number to go to 7. I don't know. I don't really have a feeling for this one. The Utah one, I don't know. It's just my left leg twitches like when it's about to rain, and I get a feeling, I get a feeling that people might be waiting to jump on Utah. But this is the case with Florida State right now. We're sitting at 6.5. 56.5 on the total. The opening number got hit at 4.5. They went straight to 5, 5.5, and it's been nothing but public money so far on Florida State. Nothing sharp the other way, though.
All right, so we're doing this, of course, on Thursday afternoon. So if we see on game day the line, crashes down to like 3.5 or something like that, does that can we almost guarantee that that's sharp action that's driving that?
That would be a safe bet, yeah.
That would be a safe bet. Okay, and then the next game I want to ask you about, another kind of a weird, interesting game, Washington State at Arizona. Washington State, of course, a very surprising team this year. They're off of 3 straight double-digit in-conference covers, which is pretty impressive. Arizona, though, a ranked team. Right now, Washington State's about a 7.5-point underdog. Could easily see the sharps being on Washington State or taking the over maybe. The total has climbed from about 72 to about 74 market-wide. What can you tell us about Washington State, Arizona, Brent?
I'm pretty much even on this game in terms of both the betting action, the wager count that we have on the game, and the money's pretty much even. Again, the sharpest money I do have on this game was Washington State plus 7.5. Now, this is a guy who's very good, makes money basically year over year, but he only bet like a half unit on this game, so I don't really want to say it's a sharp money on Washington State. If they played a full unit, the line probably would have moved down, but it was only a half unit play on Washington State plus 7.5. So that is the only sharp money that I have on this game. My count on the over is all one-sided, but again, it's public money pushing the over there, all from 72, 73. We're up to 74 right now. Not a sniff on the under, so that might go even higher unless people are just sitting back to wait to go on the under. A lot of times you get a case with the totals that we've talked about so far, Peter, is that the sharps will either strike a number right away if they think it's just way too low, and they'll jump on the over. But other than that, generally they'll sit back and wait for the public to drive a number higher if they want to jump on the under. You don't see a lot of guys jumping on the under right away.
3 interesting games I've asked you about. No clear sharp action, a few sharp nibbles, but nothing solidly sharp. What can you tell us about the rest of the action from college football week 8? Notable action, Brent.
It is kind of a weird week too. I mean, the games that you talked about, if we were talking about them week 1 or 2, they probably have a lot more to say. It's kind of, I don't know, everyone's just trying to figure everything out right now. We're basically, halfway through the season here. I can tell you though that Clemson, Miami, Florida is a very heavily bet game. I do have sharp money on this one with the sharps taking Clemson minus 6.5. Right now we have Clemson minus 7 on the road at Miami, Florida. My chart is very one-sided, about 4-1 in favor of Clemson. The money's not quite that bad. The only money that's kind of kept this line in check is what we'll call, whenever the Texas teams are involved, there's oil money, so we'll call this retirement money that came in on Miami, Florida there. So I did get some, a bigger bet back on Miami, Florida, but it was, someone just kind of who bets heavy and hard, not so much a sharp guy, but definite sharp action on Clemson minus 6.5. Western Michigan is another one, way one-sided game here. They're at home to Miami, Ohio. I have Western Michigan money minus 22, minus 23. Taking more bets all the way up to 26 where the line is right now. So 26-point favorite Western Michigan. The sharps came in earlier at 22 and 23. We're very one-sided on that game. Texas is another one that I got heavy sharp action on. Texas is at home to Kansas State. Line's up to 7 right now. It got there because of sharp bets on Texas minus 4.5, minus 5.5, and minus 6. So a lot of heavy action on Texas there. Very one-sided as well in terms of the count and money. Middle Tennessee State. Another sharp game there. Middle Tennessee State is at Louisiana Tech. When they got plus 8, sharps did come in on the dog there, Middle Tennessee State. Not one you might want to run out and watch or anything like that, but Middle Tennessee State plus 8 was sharp. Old Dominion, another one. They are at Florida International. Florida International was a 14-point favorite. Sharps came in and grabbed Old Dominion at the plus 14. We're down to 12.5 right now. Got some decent money, about half the action back on Florida International when the line dropped to 12.5. But we're sitting there kind of waiting to see let the number bounce between 12.5 and see if it comes back. Maybe it'll move up to 13. But right now the sharp money that did come in was Old Dominion plus 14. Even got a sharp nibble at 13.5. So it seems like that's the number. SMU, South Florida, the under 66 was sharp there. We're sitting at 59 now. I've got nothing but one-way action on the under on that game. Oklahoma State is a big heavy favorite, but they're a minus 34.5 point favorite right now, 34.5 or 35. Sharp money came in at 34. There's the oil money that came in on Kansas when the line was at 35.5. So, but the sharp action definitely was on 34, and we probably will go back up to 35. Just it's been one-sided in terms of the action on Oklahoma State. They laid the heavy number there, minus 34. Western Kentucky plus 17 is another sharp bet. They are at LSU, maybe surprising people backing Western Kentucky, but plus 17 was sharp money. Lines all the way down to LSU minus 15.5. So count is very one-sided on the LSU, almost 4-1 in terms of LSU, and my money is actually about 2-1 in favor of Western Kentucky through the sharp money. And just last thing I want to close out on is touch on a total, just nothing sharper or anything like that, but just a number of note is the Southern Miss at Charlotte game this week. The total there, I think it's 64 right now. And the opening number was about 58, I think I saw on the board. We opened up at 61.5, but we're already up to 64. So you can imagine the action that came in on the over there when it opened at 58, 59. We're already up to 64. Just gives you an idea sometimes. It's just the numbers, sometimes the bookmakers get the number wrong. In this case, we've got a 6-point middle on the total, or a 6-point move on the total already, and not a drop on the under. So that could really have been higher. Just wanted to note that because the number seems like it was way off and got bet heavily. Respectable money, nothing super sharp. So again, if it gets high enough, maybe you'll see some under money finally come in.
So there was a big move on a total in a minor game like that, but it wasn't sharps identifying value. It was kind of like just other people, whoever they are.
Other people, exactly, whoever they are.
whoever the hell they are. Well, anyway, the LSU game was one of the borderline games I really wanted to ask you about, so that's interesting that there's a notable sharp public split in that one. Brent, very interesting information as always. Thanks so much. Talk to you again next week.